Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check out today's episode. Guys, today we're going to be talking about Lake Okeechobee again and how it has just been named the dirtiest lake in America for 2025, the year 2025. And I wanted to do this video as a follow-up to one I did last week. I was talking about some environmental concerns that we have on lakes across the country, and I mentioned Lake Okeechobee as one of the 2 or 3 I was talking about. And I got a bunch of blowback and outrage from some of the Lake Okeechobee fishermen down there saying about how I didn't know what I was talking about, and Lake Okeechobee is great as it's ever been before. And I want to speak to that a little bit in light of this the study that came out about calling it the most dirtiest lake in the country. And I want to clarify everything that needs to be said here in this video here. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that has taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling for Get Started, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody that's been signing up for channel memberships and a Patreon program. Guys, we do have a really good membership option here. Members on Intuitive Angling get private videos every week that aren't seen by the public, and you get my personal email address so you can email me your fishing questions. So if you're interested in doing that, just go to my homepage and click on the join button for information. So really appreciate that. And also thank you guys for using all the links that I put in my video descriptions and for putting up with the plugs. I know that's a pain in the butt, but appreciate that. Okay, guys, before I get into this, let me read you the statement that was released here on what I just talked about, and then we'll get into this. Okay, it says Lake Okeechobee has just been named the dirtiest lake in America for 2025. This new study came from lake.com, which pulled federal water quality data, found the massive Florida lake ranked, the screen just froze up there a second again. Sorry about that, the screen just went off. Found the massive Florida lake ranked worse amongst the 100 largest lakes in the country. Researchers flagged Lake Okeechobee's cloudy water and turbidity readings of 34.36 NTU, along with the phosphorus levels that fed algae growth and traces of lead, a contaminant that has no safe level. Gil Smart, the executive director of Vote Water, says the news surprised him. It's obvious that Lake Okeechobee has had some major pollution problems. I might not have expected it to this extent, but it underscores the need to take action to do something about it. The analysis looked at data collected by the National Water Quality Monitoring Council between 2020 and 2025, and scientists compared 8 indicators of water health, including oxygen, ammonia, lead, phosphorus, sulfates, dissolved solids, turbidity, pH balance in the equation. So Gil was saying the issue on Lake Okeechobee is very complicated. Then it goes on to say one of the big issues with the lake and one of the reasons it's so hard to get the lake cleaned up is the state's basin management action plans were basically supposed to provide a roadmap to reducing nutrient pollution coming into the lake. We're missing the target of the FDEP that is established in terms of reducing phosphorus, in terms of reducing nitrogen. We're not hitting those levels of reduction that we're supposed to hit, and what is meant and what means so much is much more of these pollutants are coming into the lake as a result of what it should be, making the existing problem worse. Okay, that's the reality of the situation, guys. And I understand if there is people that, like guides and people at Lake Okeechobee, that have a vested interest in promoting the lake, I understand why they don't want this information getting out, because it's bad for business. And make no mistake about it, guys, Okeechobee still has a lot of quality fish in it. That's not what we're talking about. A lot of that is due to the fact that the fish are confined to smaller areas than they used to be, and the fact that people are just better at catching fish. It's like when you try to equate the bass fishing quality at Lake Okeechobee in 1985 versus 2025, there's no comparison. I mean, overall, the average bass angler in 2025 is a universe ahead of the bass anglers in 1985 in terms of skills. There's also been, technological advancements in equipment, electronic technology, baits, that type of stuff. So you can't, it's sort of like an illusion that this, all of a sudden, Lake Okeechobee's putting out these hog strings of bass, which it still does. The problem that you have right here, and the problem that we have across our entire country, is the lack of mitigation efforts that we have to prevent this problem from getting worse and creating sustainable fisheries. We have got a situation in the country where the laws and the legislation always side with the companies that are polluting these areas. I've seen it here, guys, like the turkey and chicken plants in my part of the country, pumping all this crap into the waters. Most of them just get a slap on the wrist about it. That's the way the system works, because we haven't had anybody that is that is politically powerful enough to put forth legislation to really hold these polluters accountable. And here's the thing about Okeechobee again here. I mean, I don't care what anybody says about it. The lake is not the same lake it was 40 years ago. I was there, and I've been there recently, and I know what Lake Okeechobee was like back in 1985. And if you could step back in time, a lot of these guys, some of them were there, some of them weren't, but if you could step back in time in 1985 before you had this big nutrient overload problem at Okeechobee and see the lake now versus what it is now, there's no comparison to it whatsoever. And Okeechobee cycles. It's like it may be in a good cycle now where there's more viable water. Some periods of the year, depending upon water levels and conditions, those habitable areas are reduced. But the main thing about it is we can't stick our head in the sand over this. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist because it's going to affect business. I mean, that's the most destructive problems humans have overall, whether it be overdevelopment, urban sprawl, suburban sprawl that we see everywhere. So many people just think that it's going to be okay, and it's not. It's like we have got to look forward into the future and take real steps to it. And there's always some contrary point of view. There's always some people that justify, like this particular study. There's probably people out there that, push back against it and say, we've, made all these efforts and try to do the right thing with it, but it's not enough. It's like when you're voted the most dirty lake in the country in 2025, that should be a wake-up call to everybody. And if I was living on Lake Okeechobee, or I was a guide on Lake Okeechobee, or if I had vested interest in Lake Okeechobee, this would be my point of view. I would say, hey guys, Okeechobee is fishing really good right now. There's a lot of big fish in this lake, but we've got problems. We've got problems that have to be addressed. We can't just sweep them under the rug and pretend that they don't exist. We have to take action, and we have to do the right thing in order to make these changes. But the problem, let me tell you the number one problem that we have in all of this environmental cleanup problems with the lake across the countries and all the mercury contamination that we have in lakes on every state in this country, is that we do not have people in positions of power, legislative positions of power, whether it be on the state, local, federal level, that are motivated to do the right thing. Because so many of these people in positions of power, they are subsidized by the very industries that are polluting our waters out there. And when you have a strong lobby in Congress to try to, squash legislation or push things through, or, greenwash type things, nothing's going to get done. You have got to have strong environmental advocates in positions of power that are concerned about the future sustainability of our fisheries. Because this is one of the things I don't understand. If you are an angler at Lake Okeechobee or any other lake across the country, the top 50 most polluted lakes in the country, you should be the ones like the warriors in the trench that want to get this stuff stopped and put pressure on the people that are doing this. And right now we don't do that. It's like we try to placate those things and say there's got to be a balance between the environment and business. And yeah, maybe so, but right now it's tilted towards business all the time. And if this wasn't an issue with Lake Okeechobee, and if it wasn't a problem, then Okeechobee would not have been voted the most polluted lake in the United States in 2025. That is the reality of the situation. Somebody can say, Okeechobee, there's 25-pound bags coming out of the lake all the time, and the lake's got a lot of good clear water in it. That still doesn't fix the problem, and that still doesn't acknowledge the problem. All you're doing is just gaslighting the overall problem that we have for the lake in terms of long-term sustainability. So anyway, guys, first thing that you can do, I'll tell you one thing that you can do on Lake Okeechobee that's going to help it more than anything else. I understand that those farms down there are powerful, and that's part of the economy, and that's the most difficult thing to get that, taken care of. But one thing that they can do is make it illegal to spray herbicides and chemicals on that lake. Just make it illegal. Get some senator or congressman in Florida to say, It is now illegal to spray chemical herbicides or chemicals on any waters in the state of Florida. If you guys want to maintain and control vegetation, you're going to have a mechanical harvester system to do that. But right now, we haven't had any people that are willing to do that. So I've got my own theories on it. Everybody does, but that's the reality of the situation. So anyway, guys, I'm not all the guys that live on Okeechobee. I'm not trying to make your life miserable by pointing out the obvious. I'm just concerned about the future sustainability of this lake. And don't let the fact that they're catching 25 and 30 pound bags on Lake Okeechobee cloud the big picture with this issue for the long term here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.